Breakfast Doctors. Time for all the papers, though. Joining us this morning, Patrick Timms, editor of Walls of Westminster. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
How are you?
It's too early to say. Yeah.
So come on. Just before we go through the front pages, I mean, many days of political turmoil. I was absolutely gobsmacked when the Tories actually lost West Mids.
Yes, and that's one of the stories I wanted to talk about. Of course, I've put it down as being in the Sun, but of course it's in all the papers, isn't it? Now, the thought that I had looking at these results was, look, you know, everyone was saying, look, if they lose Ben and
Ben Houchen,
yes,
and Tees Valley.
I was trying to avoid pronouncing it, and Andy Street, there could be a leadership challenge. There could be that. Now, whereas if they kept both of them, Rishi is safe, okay, as PM. But where does that leave us if they lose one but not the other?
And I would agree with you. I would absolutely agree. But apparently the appetite for a coup has gone. They went off to the pub. And I don't really understand that. You know, we talked about this yesterday with Penny Mordaunt saying don't install me in number 10
They're
like
resigned.
a boiler.
They're resigned to failure.
They are resigned to failure.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I noticed in the story in the Sun is that it almost had a Trump-esque kind of vibe to it, where it's like, oh, he was thought to have lost by thousands and thousands of votes, but then some extra votes were found for him.
Well, I think we don't have any evidence of that.
No.
So,
there was a recount. There was a recount because it was so close, and of course, as I was saying, it was a bundle count first, because basically they're Parliament of bundles, so they were looking at the bundles first, and then when that was very close, they then had to actually do a recount in one of the wards. I mean, without a doubt, what is interesting about both of those is they both stood on their own platform and basically separated themselves away from the Conservative Party. So they're saying, vote for me despite being a Conservative.
But so what this result shows in the aggregate then is that on one count that worked and on the other it didn't.
No, it didn't. But also, as Renée said, what about the turnout? Turnout is incredibly low. Now, don't people care about politics in this country, the direction of this country?
Maybe they don't care about mayoalties in this country.
Well, do you know what? Maybe him standing away from Sunak did work, because one could assume that if he'd have stood on a Sunak ticket, would the loss have been catastrophic rather than a recount and a recount?
I think that is right.
There's also a possibility that they thought they possibly weren't going to win it, so stood away in order, therefore, that it not to be Rishi's loss.
I don't think so.
No.
Do you not think so?
I don't think so at all. I think these are about great individuals who've done a lot for their communities, saying, I will continue to campaign. You saw that with Andy Burnham as well, actually. He didn't really do it on a Labour ticket. He said, I actually want to improve my locality. And I think you're seeing more and more of that. Do you think tribal politics, maybe we're at the end of that? I don't know.
You mean tribalism?
As in party politics.
I mean, I think what's happened with this kind of devolution is that you've certainly entered an era in which that kind of thing becomes possible. The extent to which it actually has yet become possible, we have yet to see. But maybe we're entering a world in which it could be.
Can I just ask you about this Leeds Green Party councillor shouting Allahu Akbar, this is a victory for Gaza in local elections? Your thoughts?
I think it's completely inappropriate, if I'm being entirely honest. And just as you've been saying this morning, it really has nothing to do with the local elections, and it is, you know, I tend to be quite, actually, you know, do you know what, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say, I think, really, it's virtue signalling of the highest order. But
I don't think it's virtue signalling.
It's a call to action.
It really is.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Is like, you know, when you say virtue signalling, it's what they consider to be a virtue. And
no, I'm sorry, I'm going to disagree with you. These people are deeply religious. This is their way of life. This is not virtue signalling. This is a call to other Muslims that we are here now. Join us.
That's what they think a virtue is, though.
No.
Well, so I agree with that. I think they're coalescing and sending out a very strong message. And when you look at actually the percentage of Muslims in this country, it's relatively low compared with the rest of the population. Now, what they are very good at is turning out, having instruction on how to vote. And I think the rest of the country actually needs to get off its backside and vote.
But what they are also very good at is shutting down conversation like this.
You're right.
Can I just add there, when you talk about shutting things down? So I'm aware, for example, that there's a group of activists that is anti-raid. So what there was a story. This is not today. This is over this week of the protesters stopping raids on illegal immigration. I'm aware of who those people are, I'm aware of where they're based, and yes, indeed, it is a call to action thing that goes on. They are organising to make sure the police cannot, in fact, intervene when they should be doing so.
And Renée's right as well, that actually I think the police are scared as well to intervene. And in fact, I haven't seen many stations talking about this, actually. I think we're probably the only one that do that, because this is the home of common sense. After the break, we'll go through all of this morning's papers. This is Talk. But obviously, fine, I'll stand corrected. As you know, it's not my strong subject. Right, Patrick, let's move on to your stories. We've spoken about this before. This is the WHO treaty. Tell us, because we spoke a great deal about this the other week. Just tell us what this paper is saying this morning.
What it's telling us is that we could end up joining a treaty that would mean that proportions of vaccines that are manufactured and are then, could have been used internally.
For British use.
It might be something like 20% actually have to be exported, and that things like lockdowns could actually be mandated, and not even by our own government, but by the WHO. And this is, I believe, go through the UN. And I just think, look, apparently there's dates from 2021 when they were first looking at this, and of course we were still in periods of lockdown in 2021. What I think is, when I look at the news, I expect it to be new. Why are we just finding out about this now?
Well, we're not.
Well, we're not.
Well, that's the key point.
We are and we're not.
We are and we're not, and it's not in the... So your point is valid, which is it's not in the public consciousness. And the original draft treaty was much more draconian, because we spoke about this. It has been watered down, but you're right. We cede sovereignty to the WHO. It was under Boris Johnson's watch, and they thought it was a good idea that we would all act in a concerted way and that we would close down countries.
The UK government are adamant, whenever questioned on this, that we will never cede sovereignty.
Yeah, Esther McVeigh said that.
Lots of them do. Okay. My MP, which is Mike Freer, regularly...
But do you think they've read it?
No, of course I don't think they've read it. But I think here we're seeing in the Telegraph, Suella Braverman, Danny Kruger, David Frost, who I do respect greatly, John Redwood, especially to be over the details. Now, David Frost says the government hasn't been transparent and hasn't set out what it's trying to do. I think that's key. Whereas other people, Suella says, I'm concerned the government is sleepwalking into an agreement that they will come to regret. Now, it has been watered down since we had the amazing Molly Kingsley on the show.
She was fantastic.
The next day, after a year of saying nothing, they actually produced their
I'd like to think it was this show that did that, because the timing was very odd.
It was very odd. So they produced their new IHR amendment documents, and it is much, much better. There are still problems with it, but the problems are smaller. But you're right, this needs to be front and centre of policy. The UK government have been asked who is doing the negotiation. They refuse to say who's doing the negotiations.
Why?
They've been asked to produce the documents that have been discussed, and they refuse to actually produce those as well. So we're struggling here to see it.
Is it fair to say that, look, this was what you might call a knee-jerk reaction at the time?
No.
And do you not think so?
No.
I think it was...
No, I mean back then.
I think it's part of the plan. No, I think it was part of the plan back then.
So I agree with Patrick. Yes, it's part of the plan by the WHO.
Yes.
I think it was a knee-jerk from our side.
To say yes.
To say yes.
Yeah. OK, that's the thing. And what I would... And just to clarify on what I said earlier about, why we're just finding out about this now. Do you know what? Sometimes there are stories that I've reported or got into other papers, and what I always say to be, it might have happened a while ago, and what I always say to editors is, this news isn't new, but it's new that it's news.
Yes. That's a very good, it's a
very good statement, that. But also, the fact is, and the bigger worry is that there are politicians who haven't read it, haven't got across the detail, and they don't know what they're actually about to sign up to.
No, and the worry with this as well is we are fighting so many fires as a society. Everything is broken, everything is really draining. It feels very depressing to be in the UK now. So this is just a complex piece of work that's difficult to get your head around. You actually need to do some work into it, and I think that's the problem, that it is just sneaking through because people just can't.
And I just want to tie this into the front page of the Telegraph as well. This is the US shared gobsmacking COVID lab leak file with the UK. This is extraordinary. The United States told Britain at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic...
21.
2021, yes, that there was a high likelihood the virus did not come from a market in Wuhan. It came from a Chinese lab. This came from Five Eyes, and they were convened in January 2021 to discuss the possibility of a lab leak. The US warned that China had covered up research on coronaviruses and military activity at a laboratory in Wuhan. We said that all along. What the heck went on?
Well, we read about this in 2020.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was being said at the
So
time.
there's another angle to this story. That lab in China where this very nasty virus escaped from was gain of research function, which is illegal in America.
Explain.
It's where they actually take a virus and they put it in human cells in a mouse and actually make it much more deadly to see whether humans can deal with it. That is illegal in America, but America were funding the lab in Wuhan to do this research. So they're both complicit in this.
Of course.
The evidence now for this being a lab leak, not deliberate.
And just the evidence in terms of the funding, I think that's fairly well sourced, isn't it?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And so here we go again. Here we've got, which was a terrible time, where actually we weren't told the truth, and the ramifications of that are still going on to this day in terms of vaccination, about where this originated.
Do you know what
the impact? And many people died.
Well, I say they did, but do you know what I always said about this is that, you know, you had like a sort of 99% survival rate. Average age of death 81.
82, yeah.
80, sorry.
But
that's our average age. That's our life expectancy.
No, but yes, you're right.
But what I remember, I'm sorry if it sounds a bit cynical, but what I was saying at the time was, I'm sorry, if I was some megalomaniacal dictator and I'd ordered this as some sort of bioweapon, I think I'd be asking for my money back.
Well, so the point was that we understand that there was a problem with the air conditioning in that lab and it escaped, and they were doing things they shouldn't have done.
I've never been convinced it was deliberate. I think it was a useless lab. But just to pick up on your point, from the BMJ in 2023,
British Medical Journal.
The US Department of Health and Human Services announced on the 17th of July that it would suspend and then end its funding for the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
I mean, it just shows, doesn't it? Things are... But what I can't understand is that Mike Pompeo showed evidence that supported the lab leak theory to his counterpart, to Dominic Raab, the Foreign Secretary. What did they do?
Well, it's not unusual. It is, as you said, it's Five Eyes. It's not unusual for intelligence to be shared.
No, it's absolutely the right thing.
You know, and now we're finding out about it. Why are we finding out about it? Well, because actually it's supposed to be secret when evidence is shared. So somebody actually has leaked this, I should imagine. You know, and why have they done it now?
But what it comes to is this: why is the world not asking China for reparations for the damage that was done to its economy?
Because it doesn't think it's going to get them.
Whilst China benefited from lockdowns.
Of course it did.
Because everybody ordered everything online.
They did. Yes. And many of us are complicit in that. Patrick, thank you very much indeed for the moment. Let's go to a break. After the break, we'll continue with the stories that are making the headlines this morning. This is Talk. Morning, 7:49. Crikey, where's the time gone? 49 minutes in already, golly. Thank you very much indeed for your company. Good morning, I hope you're feeling very well this morning. We're going through this morning's papers with Patrick Timms, editor of Wolves of Westminster. I talked about this story at the beginning of the show. This is about this poor boy, Daniel Angerin. Just tell us about this. Labour getting on the front foot, Labour saying they're going to move swiftly to outlaw the type of blade used to kill schoolboy Daniel Angerin. And I mean, the whole thing is absolutely desperate. The grieving parents paying tribute to this poor boy who did nothing wrong.
Of course. Well, one of the things that's really not been reported about this story is that we don't know what the motivation was, whether there was any at all, whether this man was just psychotic, or whether there was some sort of vendetta or motivation. Why on earth would you want to kill a 14-year-old boy? I can't see that. What we do know is that so Labour have come out and they've said, right, we're going to ban these kinds of swords. Now, footage is limited, but if you look at the paper, as we are doing right now, that is long, and it's reported that in the copy of the story it says, you know, it was a samurai sword.
It does.
It's unclear when I look at it from that angle. Now, it's
a blinking great sword.
And what I will say is that, you know, it is a subculture. It is a discipline. I happen to be a blade collector, but
you collect knives.
Not knives.
Blades. What are blades, then?
Well, a blade is a generic term.
Yes.
OK.
So what do you collect?
So, well, I've I could show you some pictures.
Right.
I've got three.
But like what? Like swords?
I've got one that could be categorised as a short sword, one that could be categorised as a long sword, and a hunting knife. That's what I've got at the moment. Now, my point is...
And you can just do that, can't you?
I know the law on this one.
Right.
OK? A blade must be both 50 centimetres or over and curved.
To be banned?
For you to need a licence for it.
Right.
OK? Now, when I look at this...
things?
Yes. That is the law. Now, when I look at this picture of this sword, it's very small. It looks to me as though this is the kind of blade that actually ought to be banned already. So what I would suggest is that if Labour is coming out and saying, oh, well, we banned this, well, it probably was banned.
So I'm looking back at my notes. Now, there was a ban on the 30th of August 2023, or at least the announcement. Knives with no practical purpose that is designed to look threatening. Sellers face up to 2 years in jail. New criminal offence of possessing bladed weapons with intent to endanger life or intimidate. Powers to seize weapons. And in 2016, they banned serrated zombie knives with threatening words or images. So, in fact, the law already covers this.
So the law already covers it, and people are using serrated zombie knives to kill people all of the time. So, you know, they can say they'll bring in a law and get people going, oh, wow, great.
Yeah.
But it's not going to make any difference.
It's already there. OK, let's move on. The Express. Meghan.
I mean, this one kind of really got to me.
Go on.
You know, that... She says because she's not coming to the UK as part of her tour of visits.
What a
and that sort of
shame.
thing. Well, my point being, she's then saying, oh, I don't want the drama, and you're thinking, I'm thinking two things. One, you are the drama.
Yeah, she loves drama.
One, you're an actress.
Yeah.
You do drama, and two, you brought the blinking drama in the first place. So I think I don't even I can't. Yeah,
you can't cope.
I just think it's one of those things.
She is the drama.
Yeah,
she
loves drama. But she doesn't want to be booed when she gets
She manufactures drama.
She does.
So we've got... This is because Harry, allegedly, is meeting with the King. They happen to be in London at the same time. There's a crossover in their diaries, and I do hope they do meet. And, of course, she has to get in on the action, doesn't she? She has to put out a statement saying, oh, I'm not going to be there. Meghan, 42, will join the Duke in Nigeria to talk to leaders about events. The Duchess of Sussex will be conspicuously absent when her husband reunites with Father King Charles. Good. Stay where you are.
Well, it seems to me that you know, the fact that she's even made a statement on it, well, that is drama.
Of course it is.
But
it's me.
Yeah,
it's, oh, my goodness, I've not been in the headlines, you know, that nasty
It's just the irony of it all, isn't it? It's the irony of it all.
Don't look at me, don't look at me, look at me!
Yeah.
You know, you're right, it's all about her. And then this is a great story. I was going to do this yesterday, but I am partial to cereal, I have to say.
Oh, here we go.
Stop it. So I'm really good. I am really good, because in the morning I have porridge, because it's a low...
Porridge is very good.
Yes, it's a sustain...
You should eat organic, though, because of the pesticides on the wheat.
Yeah, of course.
OK.
Anyway, I eat porridge with a banana.
She's got the detail, hasn't she?
With porridge with a banana and honey, you know, that's all very jolly, yes, with my prunes. Just to give you some detail, it's now 6 minutes to 8, bit too much detail. But tell us, the Britain's most favourite cereal is not that one.
You know, it was Crunchy Nut Cornflakes, apparently, which, I mean, do you know, this is one of those things, again, when I think, why is this news? I mean, I thought we knew that, but, I mean, you know...
Did we?
Do you know what should be news about this? What should be news about this in an obesity crisis is that Crunchy Nut Cornflakes is just a bowl of sugar. It's not giving your child or you any nutrition at all. In fact, what it's giving you is an ultra-processed food, which is now proven to cause obesity and cancer.
It's nice, though.
To be honest, I used to...
But then don't moan when you're obese and ask for the NHS to sort it out for you.
Well, no, sure. And, of course, I would argue there's nothing wrong with those things in moderation, but not every day, and of course I would wait for Kellogg's to respond to those
well, I mean,
accusations.
I used to have like peanut butter on toast. That's what I used to have. What did you have?
Or peanut butter and jelly sandwich, yummy. No?
Well, at least it's peanut butter, at least it's nuts,
yes.
At least it has...
And I buy organic peanut butter before you bang on. So this is honey, molasses and peanuts to regular cornflakes. Do you know it was created in 1980, Crunchy Nuts? And the one thing I will say about Crunchy Nut Cornflakes, if you've been out for a night out and you come in, that's nothing better.
Do you know that there are no cereals in our house? Because what's the point of having them?
Oh, yes, and you wear Hessian underwear. Of course there are. Yeah, no fun in your house.
To be fair, though, some of that will be to do with the fact that you have it in a bowl, you have the milk and it's the milk lining the stomach. It's not necessarily the crunchy nuts.
But the problem is, once you've had one bowl, you have another
and
one.
you know that when they tell you the calorific intake on it, it says for 30-gram portion. Do you know how much 30 grams is of cornflakes? It's like this big.
Oh, remind me to go out with you. You're fun.
I want to live long, David.
Well, I don't. I want to go out with a bang, actually. Just in terms of the other cereals, what else was in there? Cornflakes came second, actually. So that's it.
That's the sugar.
As in ordinary
There's no sugar in cornflakes, is there?
Oh, David.
What, regular cornflakes?
Full of sugar.
Well, they don't taste of sugar.
Full of sugar.
Oh, lovely, then.
It sounds like you wanted to say full of something else.
Cocoa Pops was third.
Full of sugar.
Weetabix?
Full of sugar.
Oh, come on. Frosty's full of sugar. Rice Krispies, Shreddies, Cheerios, Ready Breck. You happy with that?
Full of sugar. The only breakfast cereal that is not full of sugar is proper organic porridge oats.
Which I eat.
Good.
Happy?
Yes.
Good. God, we're arguing already.
I feel like the lads here in between.
Yeah.
The parents are
She's
arguing.
no fun. Honestly, she's no fun. She doesn't drink, just doesn't have any
Do you know
fun.
what? I've come to the conclusion that if people just would accept that their health is completely down to what they eat and what they do,
I agree.
Then they could take some responsibility.
Are you saying
for
I'm
it.
fat?
No.
Oh, good.
And I know you go to the gym,
I do.
But we need to start talking to people about their responsibility.
I'm pulling your leg
health.
this morning. Patrick, thank you very much indeed. Very good to see you, Patrick Timms, their editor of Wolves of Westminster. What have you got?